To all the ladies in the place with style and grace, allow me to lace these lyrical douches into mushes.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 3 of Make It in Dubai. This is me, Vignesh, and you have Shivank there as well.
Hi guys, welcome back.
Yes, welcome back indeed. So, Shiv, we first spoke about why we started this podcast, and then we spoke about why they should follow us, right? I think we've given them enough reasons now where we can just start having a normal conversation.
That's true. Now it's time to up a notch, yeah?
Yeah, why not? So, now I was thinking, something which is a topic that is pretty common in Dubai, which is entrepreneurs who've tried but they couldn't succeed because of a lot of different issues like uh, capital that you need to start businesses in Dubai, the process, and a lot more, right? And then you have people who've, because of that venture, what they do is they go and join different companies, right? So I think today's topic should be what is the right thing to do in case you want to start something in Dubai, what they should look out for, because I can give some insight there because I tried starting something on my own as well. But if that doesn't work out, what is the solution that you can have in Dubai that you can milk, right?
Okay, so right now there are a lot of topics and subtopics, right? So how do you want to start this? Like, which one do you think we should start? Do you want to
No, I
start
mean, it's
with
not about start. I think it's just we can have a normal conversation because we can start about my experience and what I think. So let me just put that point out there that I think when you work for a small scale company, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a budding entrepreneur, working for a small scale company in Dubai would be very beneficial to you as a person and it'll keep you happy, is what I think, in my opinion,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Okay, why is that? Because
Okay.
okay, one is why is that, and then second we need to make sure people understand that I think there are a lot of more small and medium sized business over here compared to the bigger companies out there. So I
True.
think based on the, I mean that's what I believe. I mean if you have something else to correct, I mean or if you have something.
No, you're right. I mean, because a lot of people will come to Dubai and they start like normal businesses, like you said. It's not like your top, it's not like they have businesses that go into NASDAQ and S&P and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
They're mostly medium scale businesses here who just try to move from India or UK or the US, Canada, whatever they have, the strong passports, come and use it in Dubai for a better future. That's what happens. Now, I'll tell you what my thought process is because the first guy who actually, it's like a pat on my back that I got was from Patrick Bet David. I kept telling you about PBD, right? The guy who's on the rise right now. And he said the same thing as well. He said, I would rather work for a shitty company and make it sexy than work for a sexy company and try making it better. Now, I'm not saying my company is shitty. I love my company.
I
Right?
mean, you can say that if you want.
No, 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 no. I love my company. I don't know who's going to listen to this.
Everybody says that, but deep down they might know a different reality.
No. It's true. It's true. See, I love my company. That's why I'm still working there, right? But the difference is, we worked in the same company, right? And now I'm in a completely different mind space, different company. It's like a completely two different realities that we are living right now. But I think that's what we both need to talk about today. I think you need to talk about your reality because you and me, we have the same vision for life, we have the same motivation, we have the same fire, right? But what we should talk to people, like let's say there might be people here who work for like proper MNCs, your Googles and your Samsungs and your Majid Al Futtaims and your lot your like all of your big companies, and then you have people like me who work for unknown companies but who still earn a blessed amount, because I don't want to say I'm earning a lot, right? I'm earning a blessed amount. So I want to talk about that realities. I want to give them an insight as to what our story is like and how is that helping us, how is that shaping us, how is the company environment that we are part of helping us become better, how are we contributing to that company environment, and a lot more. And even you mentioned the word career capital. Now that
Yeah.
is something which is important as well, right? So
Yeah.
I think we should integrate all that in today's topic is what my thought process is. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, sure. So what we'll do is we can, if you want, we can start with the part since you have gone through a transition in this space, right? You
Yeah.
can describe about that bit first, so everybody has an understanding of the background what you've gone through. Then I can tell about the gap which I have found out and how I have been working through. So there are two different perspectives and journey which
So
we will.
let me talk about how let me talk about why I left. Even though Shiv and I, we work in the same company, let me talk about why I left, right? So first things first, that company was a purely internet dependent company, online space, right? Now it's a digital company, and it was not for me because I love meeting people and I love bringing people into the business. But in that particular company, they didn't care about that, and plus, I love money. I love the smell of money, and I couldn't see that as well, right?
Yeah.
So it was not for me. The environment was completely different, and I was looking for something different. I couldn't contribute because the company was already established, so there was no loopholes, or I wouldn't say no gaps for me to fill in the company. It was
Okay.
like the puzzle is already there, right?
I think I'd like to add something. Like since before you, sorry to interrupt you, but so basically, since you're saying the story, right? There's something I analyzed and I actually followed that. So there are two circles. Imagine, okay, this is one circle which is about what do you want versus the other circle which is about what the company wants or the business wants. And there's a small overlap which happens in the middle, and you have to make sure that overlap is beneficial for both sides. So
Exactly.
so when that doesn't happen, your circle is still like what do you want out of it, and the company circle is still the same. So in terms when you part away, there's no common ground coming in the middle. Like if you see the overlap part. So it's not about company was bad or let's say you were bad. It's more about the overlap isn't happening. You need to find the overlap with somewhere else wherever it clicks. So just to summarize in that way, that's what I personally see. Because
No,
if the overlap isn't happening, then it's fine.
you actually nailed it to the fucking coffin right there because you're right. Exactly, right? Now, if you put it in a smarter term, it's like, yeah, the overlapping of circle is what the company wants and what you want. And for me, what I wanted and what the company wanted was completely different, so there was no overlap. But in your reality, what you want and what company wants is the same thing, so there's like a big overlap, right?
Correct.
So I had to leave the space. So while I was in the company, I tried having my own startup in Dubai, which you know about. But for the audiences that was there, it was called One Out. And what I was trying to do was, this was right during COVID. So I wanted to actually start one app that had everything. Now, at that point, this did not exist in Dubai. You just had your food delivery apps, but you did not have your app which gives you flowers, which gives you your medicines, which gives you your groceries. It was different. We had InstaShop for that, but InstaShop was just picking up. So I thought, okay, why don't I start with my community and see how it goes and see what happens and all that stuff. But since I started that business, I think I burned around 35,000 dirhams. Now, it's not much compared to what a lot of other people burn, but I was smart enough to know when to stop. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Because I started and I realized that, okay, I've taken the right step, but I also saw that another 2, 3 months, apps like your Just Life and everything is going to get captured by people. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when urban claps started coming in, and Noon picked up the whole 15-minute delivery game, and the whole game changed. Talabat, all that stuff got in. Now, and you have people like Al Abar. So Al Abar is one of the main people that run Noon, right? When you have people like that, it's crazy to compete with them, man. I mean, it was like you're someone who's trying to make it. You're not an Abar yourself, right? You're just a Vignesh, and then you have to compete with those guys. It was nuts. So what I had to do after that, I said, okay, now I have to quit, right? Now I have the entrepreneurship fire in me, but I'm in a wrong space where I can't start anything because it's a bit expensive, this and that. And if you already have money, then yeah, Dubai is a wonderful place for you to come and start a business. But I didn't have that kind of capital backed up, right? And even when I was trying to knock down investors' door, they don't want to listen to someone with, no, I mean, like university degrees from your Harvard and this and that. There's so much different complications, right?
I think there's one more bit, right? You didn't know enough people back then as well. Like people who can actually
True,
bring
true. I
people.
was pretty young. I was pretty young back then as well, and I did not have the connections I have right now to help me guide through the process.
You were like a wild bull with some bit of money. By the
There
time
was no bull and no money, bro. What fucking wild bull? That was nothing, right? No, but what I learned from that was, one, if I wanted to put my work, if I wanted to put my head into something and make it work, I've actually did it. Went through all that hot sun, trying to prospect different laundry stores, different grocery stores. I mean laundromats. I don't know why I said laundry store, but yeah,
yeah,
laundromats and all that. Well, it's like a different place. I actually spoke to a lot of different people, but they all said the same thing. You know, Talabat is giving us this, Noon is giving us that, Just Life is giving us this. What do you want to offer us, right?
yeah,
In fact, I actually spoke to this guy called Batul or Batuk. I forgot his name. from Champion Cleaner, whatever the
Okay.
laundromat is called. I think you remember the story. He told me this is going to fail. And when it fails, I'm
Hmm.
going to call and I'm going to start laughing at you. That's what he told me. And I was like, oh, well, he was not wrong,
Yeah,
right?
technically, I mean, did he call you though?
No, I
Yeah.
didn't tell him. Of course, I'm not going to put myself out there and be like, hey, man, you're right. I should have done it though.
What
As
if,
a
yeah,
smart
I
guy,
was just started saying, if you say that out loud to him, you know what, yeah, I fucked up, and that, yeah, you're actually right. I mean, that will be not a baller move, but at
that's the
least
thing,
whatever
right?
you can play around.
Yeah, that's what you learn from your experience. So I should have done that, but at that point, I was like, my ego was hit. So I was like, fuck, I want to do something so big that this guy sees who I am.
Yeah.
So after that, even though with the entrepreneurship fire I had, I couldn't satisfy that fire with anything. And then I said, you know what? Fuck this shit. Even though my industry expertise was finance, I'm just going to get into any startup space because I know I have the know-hows of a basic business system. I know how a business works. I know what they need. I know what the stakeholders want. I understand people. I'm good at psychology, human behavior. So I said, you know what? As long as I can compile that into one, I'll be fine in any startup space.
By the way, guys, you have to see a background that this guy, you see the confidence right now he has. He was jobless for I don't know how long, bro. He's jobless. He left the job, no job, and he's still trying to figure out a way how to get a job with this kind of mindset. So he had this whole startup thing ongoing, which is not working out. So yeah, this is, he's taken some extreme risk out there. We're like, are you a dumb fuck to do that? But he's like, you know what? I mean, I can't take this anymore. The circles are not overlapping, and I can't take it. We have to figure out some shit. And yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
that is something
completely
which you need to know in the background as well.
I completely forgot about that part. Shit. Can you believe that? It was like, so yeah, it was it's not long ago, it was 2, 3 years ago. But yeah, at that point, when I left the company, I was still trying to start this business. I said, you know what? Okay, now I've left the company. I have 8, 9 hours for myself. So I can actually do whatever I want to. But then because I left my company, there's income stopped coming in. And it was just money that was getting burnt. And, nothing was moving. And people in Dubai, that if you leave a job, you just have a month to find another job or you have to leave the country. So I was in a situation where if nothing worked out, I had to leave the country, and business wasn't working out. There was no job. I was getting fat as fuck as well. So it was like a different thing altogether. So right on my 30th day, right, I found this company that took me for an interview, and the office was in somewhere in Dera. And man, when you know that the office is in Dera, you know this is not the company I want to be part of, especially after the company I work for. But I was like, you know what, I'm just going to give it a chance. I gave the interview, they loved me, and they said, yeah, we definitely want you, and we see potential in you. And see, I'm not scared of an interview because I know what I can give. I'm never scared of interviews. I know a lot of people are nervous when it comes to interview, how they're going to prove themselves. For me, I know who I am, so I'm never scared of interviews. But yeah, at that company, I was more scared of what company am I getting into? How small is it? Will I have a growth? Will I have a scope of growth here? This and that, a lot of other questions. But yeah, I got into a small company. I had so much knowledge that they needed. I created so much value, and there was even a month where I earned $30,000, right? Just in a month, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Money's coming in. Now I'll tell you another episode how I made that money. That's a different thing. But the point is, when I put myself in a small company, I saw a lot more benefits, and at the same time, my entrepreneurship hunger was getting satisfied. I think that's when Shiv. I think this is the part where we introduced the term entrepreneurs, right? That's what it's called.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we'll explain a bit more entrepreneurs, but the point is, yes, I got into a small company and now I'm able to contribute so much. I'm in a position where people look up to me, they're learning from me, and the company wants me to make sure that I take over reins as a CEO one day. And there's a lot of good stuff happening. But all of this is because I got into a small company, like Patrick but David said, make a shit company sexy. So I'm trying to put my heart and soul into a shit company and make it sexy. And the thing is, you get value out of it. You get your company's stake, you get respect, you get your ideas, you get to see the ideas that you've contributed, how it turned out. Is it good? Is it bad? It's like you running your own company
yeah,
in someone else's expense. That's what's happening.
yeah,
So this is my point of view as to why I think working in a small company works. But I think this is you say you love the environment you're working in.
yeah.
And you can say that as well.
I have so my journey isn't like I don't take extreme risk. Like you see this guy sitting over here, he takes some extreme risk. I do very calculated risk. I can't go that extreme. Even I mean, not just in terms of investment, in terms of driving as well. So you can see multiple phases of life. So right now, I explained to you the model of the circles, right? Like the circle overlap, which we were talking about. So when I dug a bit deep, and I recently discovered this part that there are two kind of things you need to check. Okay, one is the fundamental stuff, and one is the additional stuff. So if you want to make sure that will you like staying in this company, or are you still okay to stay in this company, you have to have this checklist where the fundamental stuff is the pay enough for me to provide for my family or myself. Okay, the basic necessity. Okay, it's not like I'm having stress because of the money is not coming in. Okay, so not having that greed that I want everything, because you're an employee, not an employer. So the difference. So the basic hygiene part is that the money is fine, like I'm not struggling too much. That is one. Second one is how good of understanding you have with your boss, or the higher ups, the what kind of dynamics you have. So if that is also a check. Okay, the third thing is, okay, the team you work around, do you like working around with them? Okay, these are the hygiene checks which I go for. So if these are met, this brings a certain fundamental happiness. Okay, after that you go for, do I have enough creative freedom to just to wake up today and have an idea, I can execute it. That's the freedom, like not all companies give that. That can be a tech. Second one can be that, do they give me responsibility, and I'm getting a recognition. These things are the additional ones. Okay, so these things once it's met, which for me the circle is closing all of this stuff. Of course money will always be a problem, because right now what's happening is that uh, to make money right now, my output versus input is like same. Like, no, I can't scale it in that sense that I have to work 8 or 9 hours to make that money, and it's like depending on somebody else. So
True.
that's always a point. So if you have to make more money, you have to start a business, or something of that sort. So that mindset is there. Now, working for MNC is what we're discussing about, right? So these hygiene checks are what you need to do, hygiene and the additional stuff. If you know that, okay, this space is giving me that, plus, like, let's say right now, the company I'm working for is giving me like accountability of, let's say, $1 million per month. Okay, that's the spending in ads which I'm accountable for. So that is a learning in itself, because what I'm doing right now is I have a logbook where I go every day. I list down whatever stuff I've done, the wins and losses. I log that, and at the end of the day, even if I leave, or if I go somewhere else, I start my own stuff, there's a whole logbook of learnings. That learning, we work in an informational economy age, right? For me, that is extremely valuable, and I get this because I worked in a bigger company where they have bigger budgets. So based on my background, based on where I am in terms of digital marketing and paid acquisition, this is the best I can be with.
But
So
speaking of Shiv's experience, guys, he's been in pretty big companies, right?
I mean, I've been in Unilever, so that's why I think the whole
You've
experience.
been in Unilever. You've also been in Samsonite as well, right?
So that was internship in Samsonite.
Yeah.
Unilever was the main one which I actually saw stuff happening. So that's why this whole
Yeah.
experience of MNCs, right? It's a bit different. Like the stress level is not like a startup or extremely new company. It's still there. To certain days there will be a bit of stress, but you can balance it out, because the cash flow is there in the business. So you want, there's some stability over there. Of course, the rewards cannot be as extreme as making 30K per month. Okay, but there's a stability to it, and then whatever extra time you get, you can try to leverage that with like this podcast, or something you create out there to make more money. You get that freedom. So it's a different approach. Okay, so do you want to talk about the career capital thing now, or bring it a bit later? What do you
No,
think?
I was just thinking of. I was just thinking of adding on to you because what you said was the stability and the other shit you get, right?
Yeah.
Now, for someone like me, to be very honest, like Shiv said, when you work for an MNC, it's not as stressful because you know what your task is and that's all you have to do, right? You they don't expect anything extra out of you, but it's a very different ball game when you're in MNC. If you're really motivated in an MNC, yeah, it's going to take you some time because one of my other contacts as well, he spoke in the World Economic Forum and stuff like that. So he was a partner management. I mean, he's a partner manager for Accenture, if I'm right, right?
Yeah.
So now it took him 16 years to get there. Now that's the problem with MNCs. I don't know if I can wait for 16 years, right? So in a small scale company, the risk is, I'm just talking about the positives here, but I want to showcase the risk as well. Now, the risk I went through was the first 2 months, the company did not have internet because they couldn't afford it, right? So I had to go raise some funds and, we had to do a lot of other stuff. I wasn't sleeping well for like the first three
I
months.
think the major one you should mention is the cash flow part as well.
Yeah,
Because
the
if
cash
the
flow.
internet, yeah, you can
you
mention.
you are not getting your salaries paid on time, and there was so many different stuff. And The thing is, in that kind of environment, you start questioning your whole reality. Is it worth it? Should I just go and find something stable? You see your friends going out for a good dinner, and you're just sitting there like, what the fuck am I doing, man? I want to do something more. I want to go out, I want to explore. But you're not able to do anything. You're not able to sleep properly. People are looking at your face and they're asking you, do you need help? Do you need food? It was so fucked up. But the thing is, that's the risk you take because that's what an entrepreneurship risk is like. It's not like
Yeah.
your business is going to work. The thing is, the risk part is a lot as well. Like, you weren't sleeping and all that stuff. And but the difference, what you can do here is in that kind of company, you have access to all the board members. You have access to all your CEOs. You have access to your COOs. You have access to people.
Mhm.
Now, what you get to do there is you get to understand like it's your own business. You get to ask questions. You get to show them that you're a man of value. That's why you're sitting there and you have so much to contribute. So you can understand the business model and then you can find out the gaps where you can contribute, stuff like that, right? Now, you should be smart enough to do that to understand, okay, is this a company I want to work for after talking to them? Are they the right people? Are they this? Are they that? There's a lot of checklists of questions which I'll give, when we keep talking. But the point is, once you understand that, that's where career capital comes in. So
Mhm.
why do you think you're that person that can fill in the gaps? Because you have that capital. Now, what is career capital? I'll let Shiv explain that. But the point
Yeah.
is, when you have that,
Yeah.
you already become a man of value,
Mhm.
and you become a man of value in your particular industry. Now, Shiv, just take over and tell them what career capital is, boy.
Yeah. So basically, I'll tell you how I got to know about this as well. That there was this very weird time in my life where you see this guy making 30K a month from a sale happening, and then you're like, I need to find a different way as well. It's not completely competitiveness, but it's like you need to figure out your own ways to make money as well, right? Based on whatever you're doing. So there was this one point where I actually went on deeper thought. I tried researching a lot of stuff, and luckily I found this book called So Good They Can't Ignore You. It's by this guy called Cal Newport. Okay, he researched a lot about these things. In fact, he has a Google Talk and a lot of sessions he's done across all these years, and he's a pretty young guy. So basically, what he mentions is that career capital as a concept is that you don't move around in what you're working with in terms of, let's say, industries or let's say skills you have a lot. Example, let's say I'm into digital marketing right now. A year later I go into HR. 1 year later I go into project management. If I keep doing that, I'm not accumulating that capital. Okay, this is for skill. Second layer is the industry. What's happening right now, and I've seen it a lot, that people switch the industries. Okay, because people mainly follow the money part in a short term game. So what career capital does is long term game. Okay, I know people on both sides, and this is like my research and my analysis of what I've seen out there. So I know people who've switched multiple industries and multiple job roles. Okay, what happens is that these guys know 1 year of stuff or 2 years of stuff of different industry or different skills, but they don't have a capital. Now, when you speak to a guy who has career capital, okay, let's say I've spent 10 years in this industry, 10 years in the same role, and I've put my effort day in, day out to understand the gaps, understand what's the problems, what are the solutions. I've thought through a lot of things, I've worked on it every day. My depth of knowledge will be more than anybody who has a shallow understanding. Okay. So, what happens in this case is that when you talk to me, even with one sentence, I can give you a very good depth. You'll be like, fuck, this guy is lit. So what happens is that since it's a long-term game, people don't want to play it. So what he describes in the book is that his career capital needs to be accumulated. And since, let's say you choose an industry, you fix it, okay? You don't move it. You keep working on it every day, and then you realize over time your value as the input you're giving, okay, will be more valuable than anyone. So you'll be rewarded with the right amount of money in the long run. So
True.
that's the idea of career capital. People know it in different form, but this is like a condensed way of saying that stick to what you're doing. Eventually, what people say is that they don't like their job or they don't like the environment. He mentions that don't follow your passion. That's the starting point of the book, where he says don't follow your passion, and he gives a story about Steve Jobs. Okay, he mentioned in one of the. Have you seen those? It's not Harvard. It's Stanford.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that was his last speech or something like that,
Yes,
right?
so that tweet went viral as well. He mentions in that how he was actually, he says to follow your passion and do what you love and all that kind of stuff, and people actually clap. this guy mentions that it's not true completely. He gives a different side where he mentions that Steve Jobs, when he's starting out, he was a hippie and he was trying all sort of drugs on that line. And then when he actually wanted to start something, he was following money. Okay, the whole point of him buying CPUs or selling it and getting in this game was to make short-term money. The moment he realized, okay, what the computer business has something more, he went to Wozniak and he was like, we can try building something, and he was always following money. When he
Okay.
got into building Apple through following money, he
Mhm.
realized, what, I like this stuff, and then he started doing it. So the book says that the career capital should be built towards you have to follow money, not in a way that you're greedy and you want to make money. Money is a feedback from the world telling you that they'll reward you for what the value you're providing. So
Mm.
that's how the concept is. So you have to use career capital, build it. Eventually, you'll start liking it. If you like the people you're working around, you'll actually like the job as well. Eventually, once you start getting this capital. And he mentions that following money should not be treated bad. It's actually a good thing. Don't take it like in a way of greediness, but take it in a way of world giving feedback to you that you're doing the right stuff. So we keep on that trend, and you can become successful. That's the idea. So what I'm trying to do now is, like, even me personally, I'm trying to build my career capital. I've stayed in the same industry for around like 4 years now. Same, I've been in the same skill set for like 7 8 years now.
Come on, you've been in industry for one. Don't be humble, man.
So
You've
this
been doing this since
so
2015.
that's the digital marketing part, right? But the financial industry has been like 4 years now.
Ah, that is true. Yeah.
So yeah, so
But your
skill
career
set is
capital
longer.
right now will be in the space of digital marketing, not just
Yeah.
finance, but
No, so there's different. If I worked in an agency, it would be digital marketing as my industry. Like agency, like is a different thing. But industry I'm in is on the forex. I mean the financial services.
Hmm.
So basically, if I stick to this, like let's say 5 years, 6 years, 10 years down the line, with the kind of skill set I have, and I keep improving myself, even consultancy or whatever I'm going to go for, the words that come out of my mouth will be more condensed, more refined. So that's the end goal. And meanwhile, I'm trying to use this with the leverage we spoke about in the last podcast. You know how you can use media leverage and code leverage. I'm trying to build on that. Apart from the day job to
True.
transition through this phase. So yeah,
No,
that's been the part. Yeah, you have a question?
no, it's not a question. I was just thinking, how is career capital, was it involved with me? Because now, since I'm in a small scale company and I've been in finance industry for same 2019, right? So
Yeah,
2023, almost 4 years now. So the same thing. I have 4 years of experience, 4 years of network, 4 years of knowledge, 4 years of the ins and outs of what's happening in the industry. I know who's who and all that stuff. So that actually helps because now if I go talk to anybody, I have a deep understanding of the industry I'm in. And they always say, right, you rather make it in your industry than skipping. Now,
yeah,
then you have someone like your Elon Musk who comes and starts different thing in different industries, right? Of
yeah.
course, that will be a very interesting thing to see how he does that as well. But
But
then I
remember, we
realized
discussed
something.
this
It's not,
part though. Remember, we discussed about this part where we said that KSI, Elon Musk, all these guys who branch into
they all
multiple
made it
stuff.
first in one. Exactly. That's what I was trying to tell you. So what they did was they all made it first in one industry,
Yes.
then use that industry to jump to different. It's like you finish climbing a tree first, and
Yeah.
then you're like, okay, you know what? Now I see another bigger tree. Let me
Yeah.
go jump to that, right? So
That's true.
that's exactly what we're trying right now with, I mean, leveraging media and everything. Like you said, our great legend, Mr. Neighbor Ravi Kant, right?
Yeah.
So he actually helped us a lot as well. So now, since we're leveraging media through podcasts and through my own Insta, the sales thing which I'm putting out, the thing you're putting out on digital marketing. So we're trying to leverage that. So that's like a completely different industry. At least for me, it is because for me, I know a lot of stuff about finance and sales, but leveraging media is something I don't know about. That I think same as you, but that's when we're trying to figure out something else as well, right?
Yeah.
That works. But the main thing which I think would be a summary to summarize this podcast would be there's two particular pathways you can go. If you are someone who wants to be an entrepreneur, but you fail because of whatever situation that's in, right? Sometimes there's a famous quote by Will Smith. He said, sometimes, I don't know if it's Will Smith, but it just came in that video. Sometimes, you saying I can't is
Mhm.
right and wrong, but most of the times it's right. If you're a guy who's very self aware about yourself. So if
Right.
you know that, okay, me being an entrepreneur is not the right path for me in this country, well, people like us, because I would put myself there, find companies that are looking for someone who's an entrepreneur who wants to grow it, right?
Yeah.
Now, If you're someone who's well established, you have your courses, you have your degrees, you're very smart, you know what you want to do, you have a clarity, then get into an MNC, because that's a different ball game together as well. Now, someone as polished as Shiv, right? You have your masters, you have this and that, would be perfect for you.
I'm not
And
polished.
what?
I'm rogue.
Right? You have the polished stuff and you have the fire as well. So you are like a deadly force that's combined. Now, for someone like me who's not that polished, but I'm polished in a different way. So for
Mhm.
me, I need to get into companies that can complement my entrepreneur skills, my street smart and my street smartness, this and that. You know, there's a lot of different factors that come in.
Correct.
So we will talk about more about this in the next episode as well, right? But to leave off with the golden nugget from this episode, it is find out, like Shiv said, find out what your circle is. Draw the circle for yourself and see if what you want and what the company wants is aligned. If it's not, and if you want to push yourself, then I've told you there's another way. Find another company that aligns with yourself. If you're an entrepreneur that wants to satisfy that fire. But if you love the company that you're working for and the circles align, then go for it. Why not? But if it doesn't, then at least you know there's someone who was almost evicted from the fucking country, but he's still here kicking it. So, right? So I think that's should be the key takeaway from this podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's most of it. I mean, I've covered all the points that I had. I think it's a perfect ending.
Perfect, man. Cheers, guys. See you guys on episode 4.
See you guys.